This is the Secure Family Podcast. Welcome, friend. I'm Andy Murphy. This show is all about empowering parents to protect themselves and their family. I believe that security is the foundation of happiness, and I want your family to be safe and happy. If that sounds like something that resonates with you, subscribe to the show because there's always something new to talk about. The information that I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only. My goal is to empower you to make safer decisions for yourself and your family because our safety is our own responsibility. Today we're talking about how we can stay safe by not giving into fear and protecting yourself from the real threats that face you. All of that and more coming up on the Secure Family Podcast. You know those grocery store rewards cards that promise lower prices and digital coupons? A report says they may be doing a lot more than saving you money. Investigators found one major grocery chain was sharing customer data with dozens of outside companies. That can include email and home addresses, phone numbers, shopping habits, household detail, and purchases that may hint at personal health concerns based on the products that people buy. And that's the bigger issue. Once your personal information enters the data broker world, it can be bought, sold, matched, and used in ways you never expected. It's not just what you bought, it's the profile built around you. That's why I recommend DeleteMe. DeleteMe works to remove some of the personal information that flows downstream from those grocery store rewards programs. Information like your name, address, and email, and they'll remove it from hundreds of data broker sites. Take control of your privacy. Get started with DeleteMe right now at joindeleteme.com/dad and use code DAD for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/dad. DeleteMe is a sponsor of the Secure Family Podcast. So there's this song that's a few years old now that I have been listening to a lot lately. And it helped me shape this entire episode, or really find a way to talk about something that's very important and illustrate it in a way that I think is interesting, and I hope you think it's as interesting as I do. The song is called Ain't No Rest for the Wicked, and it's by Cage the Elephant. It came out in 2008, and it tells a series of stories about several people doing wrong for different reasons. There's a robber, a corrupt preacher, and a prostitute, all just trying to make it through the day. The message isn't that they're supervillains. The message is that people often justify choices and criminal acts by doing what they think they have to do. You might remember the chorus. There ain't no rest for the wicked, money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, ain't nothing in this world for free. You know I can't slow down, I can't hold back, though you know I wish I could. Oh no, there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. In this song, the narrator has had a really hard day. First, he crosses paths with a prostitute who tries to solicit him. And he says, "You look too nice to be out in the street. Why are you doing this?" And she kind of just laughs it off. Then about 15 minutes later, he's robbed on the street at gunpoint. The attacker puts a gun to his head and demands his money. The attacker is also very open that he doesn't want to murder this guy, but he would shoot him if he tried to fight back. And then the singer asks the attacker, "Why did you choose this life?" Both the prostitute and the mugger say the chorus of the song, that there isn't any rest for the wicked, money isn't free, and they have to work to pay bills and put food on the table, just like we do. They just use different skills that our society deems as crimes. Lastly, the singer goes home, and he turns on the news to find out that a TV preacher has been arrested for embezzling money from his church. With a new perspective on the human condition, the narrator says he can't say anything about the scamming preacher because he now understands that we're all the same and the preacher's just trying to satisfy his thrills. This embezzling pastor had to fund his life of crime. And that got me thinking about something that I've known for a long time. We talk about criminals in this country like they're monsters, like they're mythical creatures hiding in the dark, waiting to drink the blood of innocent people. We build this image in our minds that criminals are some kind of evil being that is capable of doing anything at any time. But that's not reality. Criminals are people. That doesn't mean that they're safe. It doesn't mean that they're kind. And it doesn't mean they don't have bad intentions. It means they are human beings making decisions, oftentimes selfish decisions, violent decisions, destructive decisions, but nonetheless human decisions. And if we want to protect ourselves and our family, we need to understand people as they are, not as Hollywood and the news portray them. Now, let me be clear. There are evil people in this world, and unfortunately, I have met a few. These are child predators. They are sadistic people. They are manipulative, people who enjoy just hurting others. There are men and women who do terrible things to satisfy their thrills. Yes, monsters exist, but not every person in jail is a monster. Not every inmate is a violent predator. Not every thief is a murderer. Not every fraudster is a rapist. Not every drug dealer is a pedophile. Crime is a category of behavior, and in most cases, it's a chosen behavior. And that distinction matters, because when we lump everyone together, we stop seeing things clearly. We let fear replace critical thinking. Fear is distracting, and it leads us to make rash decisions when what we really need to do is see the reality of the situation. Fear hijacks our brains. Fear makes people miss warning signs. Fear makes people assume that danger looks only one certain way. Sometimes danger looks angry and aggressive. Sometimes it looks charming. It can look helpful. It can look familiar. It can look successful. That's why understanding behavior matters more than stereotypes. You've heard me say this before. I learned this very well from Greg Williams and Brian Marin over at Arcadia Cognerati. Your assumptions of people will cloud your thinking when it comes to observing their behavior that's right in front of you. Now, by the way, we all do this. I do it. You do it. And honestly, that's just a part of human behavior, and that's a bigger topic for another time. Researchers and criminal justice professionals often talk about something called criminogenic thinking. That's a term for most thought patterns that support criminal behavior. Things like minimizing harm, blaming others, feeling entitled, believing that the rules just don't apply to you. Think about how that sounds in everyday language. Well, nobody gets hurt. They're rich. They can afford it. Hey, I need the money. Listen, man, everybody cheats. Or the famous one, I just didn't have a choice. Those are dangerous thoughts because they lower resistance, making wrongdoing feel reasonable. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Those kinds of thoughts are human thoughts. We can have them just as much as a petty thief can have them. We all have selfish thoughts. Most of us have wanted shortcuts. We've been tempted to justify something that we know is wrong. The difference, though, is what we do next. Some people reject those thoughts. Some people act on them, and sometimes there's a combination of both. Some people even build a lifestyle around these kind of thoughts. And just understand that that doesn't make criminals aliens and makes them people who repeatedly choose harmful paths. Another thing that we need to understand is that not all criminals think the same way. A scammer may be patient, polished, strategic. They may never throw a punch in their life. Their weapon is just simply deception. Different crimes require different skills, different risk tolerances, and different motivators. That brings me to another factor that I don't think we talk about enough, and that is actually family influence. Some people grow up in homes where lying is normal, theft is normal, violence is normal. I knew kids who grew up scamming welfare, and that was seen as a better job than working at the grocery store. If a child sees bad behavior rewarded or ignored long enough, it can become their version of a normal life. Well, dad sold drugs to keep the lights on, so that's what the kids do, right? That doesn't mean that everyone from a troubled home becomes a criminal. Far from it. Many people break that cycle to become incredible parents and leaders and citizens. But we can't ignore the power of what children repeatedly see. At home, kids will learn what relationships look like, how conflict is handled, that honesty does or doesn't matter, whether or not empathy is important, and most importantly, they see how adults solve problems. Do they do that legitimately or illegitimately? It's really sad to think about, but sometimes the first criminal education a person receives isn't from the street. It's from the living room. Now I know all this sounds really heavy and it might be confusing, but I do have some good news. You don't need to be scared of all criminals. You do need to be aware of criminals, and that's different. You don't need to walk around believing that danger is everywhere. You don't need to panic every time you see someone who is rough around the edges. You don't need to assume that every ex-convict is going to be a threat to you and your family. What you need is calm awareness. Pay attention to behavior and intent. Notice any pressure tactics, manipulation, urgency, boundary violations. I've talked about that one a lot. Also look out for inconsistent stories, and then notice people who just ignore the word no. Those are better warning signs than tattoos, clothing, income level, or ethnicity. And remember this, some of the most dangerous people, the biggest threats to our families and our way of life, wear suits and they smile for cameras. Some of the worst people in America live in Washington, D.C. and Hollywood. So here's the bottom line. Some people are truly dangerous. Many are flawed people making harmful decisions because that's what comes naturally to them. Your job is not to hate everyone. Your job is not to fear everyone. Your job is to see clearly. Understand intent. Understand behavior. Trust patterns. Protect your family, and don't give fear more power than it deserves. There may not be any rest for the wicked, but there can be peace for those of us who choose to be aware. Well, that wraps up everything that I wanted to share today in the Secure Family Podcast. I appreciate you, friend, for listening. Take back your privacy and personal data with help from DeleteMe. Get 20% off a privacy plan when using the code DAD at checkout. DeleteMe is the official data removal service of the Secure Dad. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new today, I'd be grateful if you'd follow the show, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or leave a 5-star review. If you'd like to know more about the Secure Dad, join me on Instagram and TikTok. My username for both platforms is TheSecureDad. And of course, my website is thesecuredad.com. I'm Andy Murphy, reminding you that our safety is our own responsibility.